You really think you've seen it all in wrestling, right? And then WrestleMania 41 just happens.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And after like almost a whole year away, this huge name, someone everyone associates with the sport, just makes this comeback.
Absolutely. WrestleMania Night 2, it really delivered a huge shakeup for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles.
It wasn't just a match, was it? It felt more like a whole unfolding drama.
A masterclass in surprise, really. That unpredictable thing wrestling does so well.
Right. So going into it, the expectation was the champs, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, defending against Lyra Valkyria and Bayley, seemed pretty straightforward,
Yeah.
A standard title defense.
Yeah, seems set in stone. But then, the curveball. This backstage attack takes Bayley out. Shoulder injury, reported the night before.
Which, a kayfabe injury we should probably mention.
Right, part of the story. But suddenly, Lyra's left needing a partner. And fast. 24 hours notice.
And that's where it got really interesting, didn't it?
Okay, so let's set the table properly. Liv and Raquel, champs. Lyra and Bayley, challengers.
And it's important to remember, Lyra and Bayley didn't just get handed this shot. They won that gauntlet match just before Mania.
Exactly. That win made them totally legit contenders. Established them.
So when Bayley gets pulled because of that backstage incident, that storyline injury.
Yeah, that injury.
It just completely throws a wrench in the works, right? It signals, okay, something else is happening here. The script's been flipped.
Which brings us to the million-dollar question. Who steps up? Who partners with Lyra?
Speculation was just running wild online. And, well, turns out the rumors were actually on the money this time.
Becky Lynch, making her big return.
Her first appearance since that cage match with Liv Morgan, almost a year ago? May, I think?
That's the one. And even though people were kind of guessing it might be her, the reaction in the arena, reports say it was absolutely massive.
Off the charts. And what's really smart is how they immediately leaned into the history, right? Between Becky and Liv.
Oh, yeah, the commentary team jumped right on it, reminding everyone how Liv claimed she had retired Becky.
That instantly adds so much more weight to it. It's not just a random return. There's history, there's bad blood, stakes.
That kind of storytelling, pulling on those existing threads, that really lands with the fans who follow closely, makes the moment much richer.
You could almost feel it through the screen, couldn't you? People in the arena, huge ovation. I heard one report mention seeing a fan actually in tears.
Wow. See, that's the connection Becky has, that genuine emotional reaction from the crowd.
It's gold in wrestling. It just amplifies everything.
Totally. And it sets the stage perfectly for the match itself, knowing Becky's return is the absolute focal point.
Okay, so the match gets underway, bell rings, Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch start things off.
But only for a second, right? Liv tags out almost immediately, brings in Raquel Rodriguez.
Yeah, quick tag. So then it's Becky and Raquel locking up. Bit of back and forth. I think Becky went for a sleeper.
Early sleeper attempt. Then Becky tags in Lyra Valkyria.
And Lyra comes in looking pretty sharp. Lots of energy.
Definitely. Showed off her athleticism right away.
Yeah.
Flurry of strikes, the cartwheel into the enziguri, the arm drag.
Yeah.
Looked good.
Strong showing for her on the big stage. But then the champs, Liv and Raquel, they kind of took over for a bit, didn't they?
Yeah, they used their experience as a team. Isolated Lyra.
Classic tag strategy. Cut off the ring, quick tags. Keep her away from Becky, wear her down.
Showcase their chemistry, Morgan and Rodriguez. They worked well together there. There was maybe one slightly awkward moment early on.
Oh, yeah?
Raquel lifting Becky for a slam just looked a tiny bit off. Minor thing, probably, but some people noticed.
Right, a little hiccup. But like we said, the main thing everyone was waiting for
A hot tag.
was that hot tag to Becky. And when it finally came, the place just exploded.
Oh, yeah. You could feel the energy surge.
Yeah.
Big time.
Becky comes in like a house of fire. Signature moves, clothesline.
Exploder suplex. Went straight for the disarm her. The crowd was totally with her, building with every move.
But Raquel was there, right?
Yeah.
Broke up the submission with a kick. Smart move.
Kept her partner in the match, and the action continued, back and forth. Liv hit her finisher, the Oblivion.
Looked like it might be over.
But Lyra made the save. Dove in, broke the pin. Showed a lot of fight protecting Becky there.
And then Lyra hit that big move on the outside, right? The tornado DDT on Raquel.
Yep, took Raquel out of the equation momentarily. Really well-executed move, too. Clean.
And that basically paved the way.
For the finish. Becky hits the manhandle slam on Liv Morgan. 1, 2, 3. New champs.
And instantly, the commentary calls Lyra 2 belts, which is kind of catchy.
Well, she is also the Women's Intercontinental Champion. So it fits.
True. So yeah, the match itself, maybe 8-9 minutes. Relatively quick for a title change at WrestleMania.
About 8 minutes, 40 seconds, yeah. Not super long.
So what was the verdict afterwards? The analysis, the reactions, sounds like people were a bit divided on the match quality.
That seems fair to say. Some folks felt it was, just okay, serviceable.
Not necessarily a technical masterpiece?
Right. The focus was clearly, undeniably, on Becky's return and the title switcheroo. That was the story they wanted to tell.
But others felt it did what it needed to do, achieved its purpose.
Exactly. It delivered the big moment, the feel-good return, the title change. Mission accomplished on that front, you could argue. But let's bring in Dave Meltzer's analysis.
Right, the critical perspective. He rated the match 2 stars.
2 stars, which, considering the reaction, might seem low to some.
His reasoning apparently was that the match structure was maybe a bit too focused on building to Becky's hot tag.
Meaning Lyra took most of the beating just to set up Becky's big comeback.
Yeah, that seems to be the gist. And that the biggest crowd reactions were specifically for Becky, not necessarily the match as a whole.
So he's looking more at the technical flow and storytelling balance of the entire match, not just the high spots or the return pop.
Exactly. A more critical look at the in-ring narrative structure, suggesting maybe it relied too heavily on the surprise factor.
Definitely valuable perspective.
Okay, but what about the whole Bayley situation? Taking her out of a match she earned, even if it was the plan all along for the story. That got some heat, didn't it?
It definitely did. Some people called it, a pretty lousy thing to do to the character, storyline or not.
Yeah, it potentially undermines her credibility a bit, takes away this big opportunity she and Lyra won fair and square.
That's the argument, yeah. It raises questions about her standing, where she goes next. Does this fuel a new fire in her character, or does it just feel like she got sidelined?
We'll have to see how they follow up on that one. And then there's Becky, coming back after nearly a year off, straight into a title win.
Yeah, that sparks some debate, too. The whole wrestler takes time off, comes back, immediately gets a top spot thing.
We've seen that comparison made before, maybe with someone like Charlotte Flair sometimes.
It's a recurring discussion point in wrestling, definitely. But I think it's fair to say Becky's connection with the crowd is maybe different, exceptionally strong.
More universally popular, maybe? So people are maybe more willing to accept it.
Perhaps. That fan support gives her and the company a bit more leeway for that kind of booking, It just lands differently.
But the story wasn't over. Not by a long shot.
No kidding. The very next night, Raw, things go sideways, fast.
They announce a rematch right away, tag titles on the line again.
Which, sometimes happens, but then Liv and Raquel win them back, just like that.
Yeah, the reign lasted, 24 hours?
Barely. Which maybe suggests that the WrestleMania win was more about the moment, Becky's return, than about a long run for them as a team.
That quick title change often signals something else is coming, doesn't it? Like the focus is shifting away from the belts themselves.
Exactly. It often sets up a more personal feud. And in this case, boy, did it ever.
Because after Liv and Raquel win the titles back, Becky helps Lyra up.
Seems like a moment of sportsmanship, maybe disappointment.
And then just attacks her. Brutally.
Just turns on her. The descriptions were pretty graphic. Multiple manhandle slams.
Yeah.
Vicious stuff.
The commentators were losing their minds. You could hear the shock. They kept bringing up the mentor angle, the betrayal.
It wasn't just a standard heel-turn beatdown. It felt personal, malicious even.
Absolutely. And Lyra's reaction just described as utter shock, disbelief, which, you can understand why, right?
Completely blindsided. After winning the titles together just the night before, it just throws everything up in the air. Why? What was the motivation?
What flips that switch for Becky to turn on her mentee like that? It just completely destroys the narrative from WrestleMania. Okay, let's talk individual performances. Liv Morgan. Sounds like people are really digging her heel work lately.
Yeah, the consensus seems to be she's really settling into that role. More comfortable, more effective at getting under people's skin.
Growing into it. Becoming more seasoned as a villain.
Exactly. Finding her groove there.
And Lyra. In-ring stuff looked good, but some comments about her character maybe being a
little generic was the word I saw used. Like, great wrestler, but maybe the personality hasn't fully popped yet.
And we got to mention the other title change from that night, Dominic Mysterio winning the IC title.
Right. So now you've got this couple, both holding singles gold. Liv has tag gold, Dom has singles. But both champions.
That just adds another layer, doesn't it? Potential for on-screen interactions, power couple dynamics.
Yeah.
Another storyline thread.
Absolutely. Lots of potential. Lots of potential there.
So Stepping back, looking at the bigger picture, this whole sequence of events, the surprise partner, the title change, it feels like a deliberate move, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. A way to inject some serious buzz, some adrenaline into the women's tag division.
Get people talking about those titles again. And obviously, Becky Lynch's return is just a massive boost for the whole women's roster. Star power.
Huge boost. Brings eyeballs, brings excitement.
So now we're left looking at Becky, seemingly as a full-on heel, a villain. What does that mean?
Well, the obvious direction seems to be a feud between Becky and Lyra. Maybe over Lyra's Intercontinental Championship.
That makes sense. The betrayed mentee seeking revenge against the mentor who turned on her. Classic story.
And what about Bayley? When she comes back, where does she fit in? Does she go after Becky? Does she have her own issues with Lyra? It seems like they're building a really tangled web here. So just to quickly recap this roller coaster, Becky's surprise return, teams with Lyra, they win the tag titles at WrestleMania in a big feel-good moment.
Then, bam, 24 hours later, they lose the titles back to Liv and Raquel on Raw.
And then the absolute stunner. Becky brutally attacks Lyra, betraying her completely.
Leaving us with so many questions. Why did Becky do it? What's next for Bayley? How does this shake up the whole women's division?